Dynamic, changing Seoul, capital of South Korea. A drive along the streets of Seoul will tell you everything you need to know about this city. The vibrancy, the creativity, the early adoption of technology, hip lifestyles, and cutting-edge modernity. It's a city that knows only one gear, overdrive. But all that's come at a price. Seeing Seoul at a pedestrian pace reveals the cement scars of hyper-urban growth, endless miles of gridlocked roads, and the huge grey facades of a city seemingly built overnight. Seoul took off when it hosted the Olympics and the Football World Cup. The meticulous organization and huge engineering projects of those events proclaimed Korea's status to the world. Now they are engaged in another grand engineering scheme, a project that will make an even louder statement. But this time, it's not for the world, it's for themselves. $400 million are being poured into one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects the city has ever seen. The plan is to transform a concrete jungle into a livable, walkable urban garden. A paradise centered around the benevolent forces of the ancient Cheonggyecheon stream. The problem is, the legendary stream has disappeared. It will take 21st century technology to turn the ancient stream into a modern dream. The Sum-Il Expressway, the first overhead highway in Korea and one of the busiest in Seoul, a city notorious for its traffic jams. But this night is even busier than most. Tonight, the highway will be closed, not just for one night, not just for roadworks, but forever, because the mayor has a plan. The mayor's plan is simple. It will improve the urban environment. But first, the expressway has got to go.
저희가 이 청계천 이 고가도로를 몇십 년 동안 시민이나 국민들이 유용하게 이용했는데 막상 없어진다 그러니까 너무나 서운한 감이 들고 그래서 마지막 이별하는 그런 의미로.
Lee was not the only one sorry to see the road closed. It's not exactly as if it was unused. 170,000 cars travel on it each night and day. It's been the major east-west highway in the city since it was built. A main line straight into the heart of the city. But its time has come. Tonight, it's being closed to fulfill a 600-year-old dream. Next morning, the pressure doesn't let up. In a carnival atmosphere, dignitaries and crowds gather to watch history being made. The first piece of the 6-kilometer-long elevated highway is removed with a bang. In a city of traffic chaos, people expect to see roads being built, not torn down. Piece by piece, it is being cut up and carted away in the solution to an engineering dilemma that goes back centuries. Seoul became the capital of Korea more than 600 years ago. It owes its existence to a ring of mountains and to a small stream, to the needs of a king and the diligence of a monk. The king was Taejo, founder of the Joseon dynasty. In 1392, he decided that Korea needed a new capital city, but it couldn't be built just anywhere. King Taejo's capital had to be built in a special place, a place with feng shui fit for kings. Legend says that King Taejo sent out a Buddhist monk, Great Master Muhak, to find that perfect location. Muhak was also a specialist in Pung Su, the ancient science of location that balances humans and nature. In China, that science is called feng shui. The legend says that monk Muhak searched for 2 years to find the perfect location. Of course, legends aren't always exact. In fact, King Taejo didn't send out just one monk. He sent out a veritable army of soldiers and geomancers to scour the country until they found the perfect place. The discoverer's name doesn't really matter. What matters is that this spot has been the capital ever since. According to geomancers, the position of the mountains and the stream give this place powerful Pung Su energy. They say earth energy flowing from the mountain to the north is reflected back by the mountain to the south. Mountains to the east and west further focus the natural energy. And at the heart of it all was the Chang'e-Tian stream. The geomancers said that the position of the mountains and the stream made this the perfect site for the new capital. "600 years later, Taejo's stream has been lost, buried deep beneath the Sum-il elevated expressway. When the highway was built in 1967, it was an object of pride. The highway was a soaring statement of progress that promised to speed the city's traffic. It was a symbol so potent that the then president Park Chung-hee cut the ribbon to open the new road. But times have changed. People no longer want a highway over their heads. They want the stream beneath their feet. The mayor has pledged to give it to them. The challenge is to find a way to take down a highway in one of the world's most densely populated cities and recover the ancient waters. It requires an army of men and machines to make it happen. New technology must come to the rescue. Seoul's Sumil Expressway is being demolished to reveal an ancient stream that lies buried under tons of concrete. There are sound reasons for taking the expressway down. When it was built, Seoul's transport needs were growing as fast as its booming population. But 30 years later, priorities have changed. Now, cars are out and clean air is in. The massive elevated highway, for so many years a symbol of Seoul's modernization, must be sliced up and taken away to reveal the ancient stream hidden below. By the end of the 20th century, the expressway was on its last legs. Showing its age, it had become not only an eyesore, but a danger. People were worried that it might fall down. Weight limits were put in place, restricting traffic to passenger vehicles. Some foreign embassies advised their nationals to avoid it altogether. And local residents were afraid that living so close to it was dangerous. Longtime resident Kim Jung-man was one of them.
왜냐면 처음에 이 복원을 한다고 할 때는 복원하기 전에 사실은 매수권에서 많이 나왔어요. 왜냐면 고가 도로가 지하에서 침체돼 갖고 뭐 어디 뭐 무너질 우려성이 있느니 또 고가도로 차가 많이 다니까 중량을 이기지 못해 갖고 하중을 이기지 못해 갖고.
Examination showed that the residents were right to be afraid. At any moment, the highway could collapse. The situation underground was even worse. Covering over the stream had turned it into a fetid sewer. Sewer gas leaked to the surface, while pollution and chemicals ate away the underground supports. crumbling concrete exposed rusting steel. Closer inspection proved what the residents feared. The public were invited to see for themselves and didn't like what they saw. There were heated debates as to whether they should try to repair the structures or just tear them down. Then, City Hall offered them a radical alternative.
그래서 이것은 복귀가 돼야만 환경상으로도 좋고 또 시민들의 이 주위를 경제적으로 활성화시키는 데도 도움이 된다 하는 그런 효과를 이렇게 계산해서 하고자 마음을 먹었습니다.
It was an ambitious plan. The highway would come down and the ancient stream would be restored. An urban eyesore would become a 6-kilometer-long park. Promises to demolish a highway are easy to make. Doing it is a whole lot harder, especially when that highway is in a densely populated neighborhood. The municipal government imposed conditions that made a tough job even harder. The overhead road had to be taken down without disrupting the community. No noise, no dust, and, most difficult of all, no road closures. That meant that traditional methods of demolition were out. No pneumatic drills, no ball and crane, and most definitely, no dynamite. The mayor had laid down a major engineering challenge. The engineers responded with a plan to cause minimal disruption.
소음이 많이 발생되는 장비를 이제 방음 상자를 이용해서 이렇게 완전히 이제 밀폐를 시킨다든지 아니면은 분할 공법을 이중 분할을 해서 소음을 저감시킨다든지.
Demolition began on July 1st, 2003. It took place on crowded city streets. Barriers were put up to contain noise, dust, and debris. It would take 3 stages to demolish the road and uncover the stream. First, the highway surface is removed. Then the T-shaped concrete pylons that hold up the roadway are cut down. Finally, the ground-level surface is ripped away to reveal the stream below. It's all executed with military precision. Break the sequence, and the whole project can tumble down. The first step of the process is to strip the asphalt from the underlying concrete bed. The asphalt, concrete, and steel of the elevated highway will all be broken down to their base parts and recycled in other building projects. The target? It's high. An astronomical 95% of the asphalt and concrete and 100% of the iron and steel are meant to be recycled. By the time the workers are done and the last piles of rubble are scooped up, 680,000 tons of debris will have been shifted. Before the roadway can be cut up, guidelines for the saws and centering marks for the drills are painted. Wheel saws whirl through the concrete top plate. The saws can cut through concrete half a meter thick, while screens help to baffle the noise. Water is used liberally to minimize dust and keep the blades cool. 1,500 blades are expended, cutting up the highway. It takes a diamond wire saw to cut through the really thick stuff, and blow torches to cut through metal. Lampposts, crash rails, drain pipes, electrical conduits, even the expansion joints on the road are removed. Before a section of roadway is cut free, augers drill holes through it. Cables are threaded through the holes to make a sling. Cranes lower the cut piece of road to trucks waiting below. The trucks then trundle the cut sections away for dismantling in a more people-friendly environment. The largest piece removed weighs 300 tons. That's about the same weight as 200 of the cars that once rode on it. The longest section is a whopping 70 meters. Heavy pieces of roadway could require 2 or even 3 cranes to lift them. Although the pieces of top plate are huge, they must be removed with surgical precision. In the cramped inner city, there is no room for error. Often, only a few meters separate the demolition work from the public. One false move could be fatal. A fleet of trucks shuttle the segments of road out of town. They travel almost 30 kilometers before they reach the place where the final dismantling takes place. Removing the top plate exposes the T-shaped support pylons below. Next, the pylons have to be cut down to size. Here, the diamond wire saws really prove their worth. Diamond wire saws reach places conventional blades can't. First developed for quarrying stone, here they're being used in imaginative new ways. It may not look like much, but the beauty of the diamond wire saw is that it can cut through any thickness of concrete. Have a bigger piece of pylon? Just use a longer piece of wire. Only 40 minutes is required to slice through a pylon arm. The 20 diamond wire saws consume 10,000 meters of diamond wire during the demolition. It takes just 10 weeks to demolish the entire 6-kilometer-long elevated highway. But it's not all about demolition. Given the ancient history of the site, archaeologists are keen to enter the underground stream. But there is a downside. Conducting archaeological research inside a sewer throws up unexpected obstacles. Dr. Hong leads the team.
처음에 들어갔을 때는 굉장히 많은 악취하고 어떤 굉장히 어두운 그런 환경이었었기 때문에 사실 조사가 가능하리라는 어떤 기대도 하지 않았었고요.
The archaeologists have a goal. They want to bring to light a Joseon Dynasty bridge that was buried when the stream was covered up. Metal walkways are put in place so that they can work above the sewage-laden water. Flash floods are a constant danger.
저희가 그때 들어간 게 8월 달이었던 것 같은데 8월 말경쯤이었는데 그날 저희가 들어갔다 나와서 굉장히 많은 폭우가 내렸습니다. 그래서 조금만 늦게 들어갔었으면 그 물에 쓸려갈 뻔도 했겠죠.
Salvaging the Joseon Dynasty bridge is a mammoth undertaking. Its huge stones have survived centuries of flooding. But even more significantly, this is an opportunity to bring back an extremely rare piece of Korean history that had almost been obliterated. It's not just any bridge. It's a precious survivor of the deliberately destructive warfare that racked Korea for 50 years. The 20th century was a tough time for Korea. In 1910, the tottering Joseon Dynasty was overthrown by Japan, and Korea was turned into a colony. In addition to the trauma of war, the Koreans suffered cultural genocide as the Japanese tried to systematically erase their history. Palaces, temples, and any other objects of historical significance were looted and destroyed. Life was hard during Japanese rule. Slums around the stream filled up with refugees who had nowhere else to go. In the 1940s, the tide of war continued to wash over Korea. The end of the Second World War brought independence to Korea, but not peace. Just 5 years later, hostilities began again. This time, Korea was at war with itself. Seoul suffered badly in the conflict. It changed hands 4 times as North and South bitterly fought for control of the capital. By the conflict's end, 47% of homes had been destroyed. Millions were left homeless. Adding to the millions of displaced persons who crossed the stream as they fled to the safety of the south or as they retreated to the north. The neighborhood around the stream was the first stop for many of the dispossessed. The bridges over the stream could barely cope with the weight of new arrivals. A shantytown grew along the banks of the stream. Sanitation was minimal. The only running water was in the stream, and it was dry for months on end. When the water was high, fish swam in the stream. But when it was low, it was filled not with fish, but feces. The stream could not cope with the burden. Disease and crime festered. The fear of epidemic was the last straw. In 1958, the Cheonggyecheon stream was covered over. But covering the stream didn't solve the problem. It just pushed it underground. The post-war press of refugees